Hello and welcome to another video by Meston Educational Services. In this video, we are going to focus on checking whether a number is prime, and the second part would be to generate a list of prime numbers within a given range. So we would be using Python to do so. So I'm going to first of all create a Python program and I'm going to call it isPrime, and we're going to check whether the number is a prime number or no. So we have added that. Now I'll go into more modules. I'm going to add a system module. It's not necessary, but I just added to clear the screen each time. So I'm going to clear the history by adding this module. So I get a fresh shell page each time when I do that. So clear history. It's not necessary. Okay, the first thing is now I'm going to get the user to input a number, and we're going to check whether this number is prime or no. So I'm going to store it as an integer value. So number, integer, and then I go into the input and output, and that's an input. And it's going to be a string that I will enter over there. So I'll put that within inverted commas, and you'll see that the text color has changed to green. So the user will input the number there. Okay, before I can move any further, I'm just going to paste two lines of code. So here, now the first line is when I do 11% for it's performing a division, and it's telling me that the remainder is going to be 3. So it will print out the remainder, and likewise the other code is going to give me the quotient. Now if the number is prime, it should leave a remainder, and if it is giving me a remainder as 0, that means actually it's not a prime number. So that's the logic that we are going to use. So let's change the numbers there to 13 and 17, and you will see it gives me 1 and 4. Okay, so now we'll go on to write our code. So the first thing I have to ensure that the user's number is greater than 1. So I'm going to put an if statement. If the number we have entered, so I'm going to put num, so that's the logic, is greater than 1. So number greater than 1. Now after this, we are going to check whether the number is prime. So I'm going to create a for loop, and in the for loop, I'll start with the first number that we can check for. It's prime. So we'll put the start as 2 and end at the number. So stop is going to be the number that we have defined. And in the block, we are now going to put the if condition. So the condition for us is going to be if this number that we've got divided by the iteration, which is 2, is equal to 0, then print that the number is not a prime number. That means the remainder is 0. It's definitely not prime. And if it is not prime, then we are going to print another line. We are saying the number divided by this, or rather in this case the number I, which is the iteration that we have, in this case 2, times the number divided by I, which is going to give me the quotient is the number. So we are multiplying the 2. And once we have come to that, we want to break the code. So I've got the code over there. I've used the break statement. Otherwise, we go on to say print that the number is actually a prime number. So the number is a prime number. So I over here is going to start with 2, then move on to 3, move on to 4. I can optimize it by actually putting a different number there, which should be half. But I think this is the easiest code. So we'll just work with this. So we are saying print that the number is prime. And now let's run the code. So let's enter the number 29, and you will see it's printed that several times. Now I can go and tidy up the code. All I need to do is to move the if by 2 indents back, and now it's actually outside the loop. So I'll run the same code, and it tells me 25 is a prime number, and it prints that only once. So indenting is very, very important. I entered 55. Let's go and enter another number, 19. It's a prime number. Let's go and enter another number, 29. Yeah, 29 is prime. So let's enter 183. And 183 is not a prime number because 3 times 61 is 183. Okay, let's now go and create prime numbers within a given range. So I'll go and say prime in a range. So prime in range. And the code is going to be very, very similar to what we did, except that we will have a user input who will put what's the lower value of the range and what's the upper value. So once again, just to clear the history, I'm using the system import and clear history. And now the first stage is I will define a number low, which is the lower end of the range, and it's going to be an integer value. And once again, very similar to what we did, the user will input the lower number. So it could be 100 or whatever, and the upper number could be 200. I'm going to copy this code and put the other number and change it to high. And let's change that. So that's going to be the user input, and print, and we're going to print a statement where it says prime number in the range, and I'm going to put low over there, so comma low, and I need to put that in a text, so I'll just go and tidy that up because at the moment it's showing low in a text. So low, it will put the number there, and then and now we want to put high, the upper one, so comma high, and then we'll close the R, so we'll close the bracket. So it's going to print this statement, it will put the lower and the other numbers, and from here on the logic is going to be very similar. So for numbers in the range, so we're going to start with the lower number, which is low, and high. In this case, I need to do high plus 1 because indexing in Python actually starts from 0 and it goes up to 1. So that's why I've put the plus 1. Rest of the code remains similar that I used previously. So the number has to be greater than 1. And I have just made an error, so I'm going to change that. It should not be for I in the range. I should actually change that to number because in the previous line, yeah, so that should be number there because I have created a variable number. So if number is greater than 1, and now the for loop that is working in the range from 2 to the number, this is what we did in the previous one, and we are going to check whether it leaves a remainder equal to 0. So if it leaves the remainder as 0, then the number is not prime, and we want to end the loop there. And if the number is prime, then it should print the number there, and it's going to print all the numbers one by one. Now we need to keep that in the range. So let's run the program. So let's put the lower number as 12 and let's put a high number 100, and it's printed all the numbers. Now I'm just going to tidy up because when I entered 12 and 100, it was actually there. So I'll just create that space there after the text, and now let's run the program again. So you'll see there's a space there. So 70, and let's go and put a higher number 90, and it's generated all the prime numbers between 70 and 90. Let's run it once again. So 1000, and let's put a high number as 1200, and it's generated all the numbers. So that's really it. Thank you for watching this video, and do subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting up some more videos on Python. Have a nice day. Thank you.